Well, good Thursday evening. Meteorologist Evan Stewart here, and we've got some extended coverage coming up talking about this impending winter storm that we're having in parts of Virginia. This is going to be one of those cases where parts of the area are actually going to see mainly just rain, while inland spots are going to be looking at mainly just some snow that'll eventually change over to some rain. But we do have a weather impact alert that is in effect for Hampton Roads as we go into tomorrow morning, and that starts at around 3 a.m. and will run until 2 p.m. into the afternoon. And that will actually be, the heaviest of the rain will be around 4 a.m. until noontime. And if I can ask the producer to fix the IFB so I'm not hearing programming, that would be a help. So here's what we're looking at, and we'll have to adjust that here a little bit now. Okay, so we are looking at this wintry mix coming into parts of Hampton Roads. Coastal areas are going to be mainly dealing with some rain as we go into the morning, while inland spots will have that mix of snow. And we'll break it down for you region by region coming up. And the impacts will be that there will be some slick spots out on the roadways as we go into tomorrow morning. So you'll definitely want to monitor those travel issues. Now, daybreak will be starting a half hour early at 4 a.m. tomorrow. That'll give you some lead time, let you see how the roads are looking. I think some of the biggest issues will be along, say, 64 up across the peninsula, especially heading back towards Richmond, 460 as you move through inland parts of Southside, and maybe even 58 working your way back towards Franklin and Interstate 95. So snow for some, rain for others, and even some of the areas, and I think most of the areas that see some snow accumulating tomorrow morning will eventually see that get washed away as some warmer air moves in and we see the falling snow change over to rain. Some accumulation inland, as I mentioned, likely washing away, so give yourself some of that extra travel time. So here's the storm that is out here moving through the deep south, slowly working its way eastward. We've seen the clouds thicken up as we have gone through the day today. And you can see right now, Nashville, south of Nashville, Murfreesboro, seeing some rain down towards Huntsville and into areas of Alabama. But north of Nashville into southern parts of Kentucky, we are seeing that snow, and notice that rain snow line, and that is going to be critical even here in Hampton Roads as the storm works its way eastward. And we'll see those winds coming in out of the northeast as we go into the day tomorrow. And we've got water temperatures that are still in the 50s, so that easterly wind, northeasterly wind coming on shore will have a big impact on the coastal areas, seeing mainly just some rain. Clouds have already started to move in. We do have winter weather advisories now for the eastern shore, middle peninsula, northern neck, and interior south side. That includes Isle of Wight County, Franklin, Southampton County, includes all of the peninsula. So James City County, York County, Poquoson, Seaford, Hampton, Newport News, Poquoson, Williamsburg, Gloucester, Matthews, Middlesex, Northampton, and Accomack along the eastern shore. Does not include most of Southside and northeastern North Carolina, again, because I think those areas are going to see primarily rain. Could be a little bit of a mix to start, maybe even a little bit of slush, but not enough to even warrant a winter weather advisory, because I think pretty quickly we'll see things change over as that rain moves in. So here's what it looks like on Futurecast through the evening. Still cloudy through 11 o'clock tonight. Notice temperatures still above freezing at 11 o'clock. As we go past midnight and we see that colder air working its way in, we'll see some of that moisture moving in as well. This is 2 a.m. in the morning, so the middle of the night, maybe some light snow off towards the north. Notice temperatures around Richmond close to freezing, 33, 34, Wakefield to Emporia, but we're still in the 40s right along the coastline. That's why, again, I think for a lot of the metro along the south side, we're not going to see too many significant issues. It's really Suffolk westward that we'll see those issues, and up across the peninsula. As we go to 4 a.m. when daybreak starts, notice these temperatures in the low to mid 30s, 33 through Wakefield, 32 in Emporia, and this is where we have the potential for some of that heavier snow in the morning. Notice the green shades here, talking about primarily rain. Norfolk into Virginia Beach, down into northeastern North Carolina. Could be some mixing. Wouldn't be surprised to see a few snowflakes trying to mix in, maybe even a few sleet pellets in a few spots as well around 4 o'clock in the morning. 6 o'clock, a little more moisture moves in. And again, that rain snow line right through the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay and in the south side. Chesapeake above freezing, could be some mixing. Same thing in Norfolk, mainly rain, Virginia Beach down towards Elizabeth City. But up across the peninsula, eastern shore, middle peninsula, likely looking at some snow and probably some accumulations. Maybe an inch, a little bit more if you're a little bit farther to the north or west, especially getting close to New Kent County. Western parts of south side could be some minor accumulations, and we'll take a look at those totals in a moment. But here's where that rain snow line is at 6 a.m. Notice by 9 a.m. starts to work its way westward. So we'll see those northeast winds coming in off the water, and that will start that transition of the falling snow over to rain. And with the warming temperatures, some of that snow that is out there on the grounds, and if there's some on the roads, and I think there will be some spots, some slick spots out there into tomorrow morning, we'll start to see that change over to rain as well. Still borderline temperatures even at 9 a.m. around Franklin, and certainly Wakefield back towards Richmond, West Point, temperatures still at or below freezing. And most of the Hampton Roads will see temperatures up into the upper 30s and low 40s by midday. So any snow that is out there will start to melt or be washed away by some of the rain, and the rain clears out by about 3 o'clock into the afternoon. Now, still West Point, Richmond, Emporia along the I-95 corridor, temperatures will be just a little bit above freezing and likely will not see much in the way of rain. So that's where the snow will still stick to the ground and still be on the ground even into the afternoon. So if your travel plans on Friday take you into central Virginia, northern Virginia, be aware that there will be some issues on some of the roads. Maybe not the interstates by this time. VDOT crews have already been out pre-brining the roads, but there could be some slick spots on some of those secondary roads that might not be treated. And then by Friday evening, cloudy as the rain moves off the coastline. So let's talk about the big question, how much snow is going to fall? So we're going to take a look at several of the different computer models, and this is what we do in the weather office to help us make our forecast. We'll begin with the European model. Again, this is a longer range model, and it is not as a high resolution as some of our short range models. Same thing with the GFS, the American. So when you hear us talk about hurricane tracks or even winter storm tracks in the distant forecast, beyond 3 or 4 days, we're looking at these long range models. And you can see the Euro, general idea, nothing Virginia Beach, Elizabeth City, very little Norfolk to Chesapeake, and some of that accumulating snow, 2.5 inches up towards Richmond. Of course, that doesn't take into account what will happen once we see a little bit of a changeover and we see some rain moving in, and that would melt a lot of this snow through much of Hampton Roads. Still some issues here through central Virginia back around Richmond. Notice the American model, a little more aggressive, a little colder, actually calling for an inch of snow in Norfolk, 0.8 in Chesapeake, 2.5 in Newport News, 4 inches up towards West Point and Richmond. I think that's a little bit overdone. Certainly that is possible. And the American model does a little bit of a better job as we get closer to an event. But it still has that same general idea with the rain mainly along the coastline, maybe a little bit of a mix towards Virginia Beach. It just keeps that rain snow line, instead of moving inland like we saw with Futurecast, keeps it a little bit farther towards the south and east. And then we have the North American model, which is more of a shorter range model. Still, same general idea. Not much through Virginia Beach, Elizabeth City, Edenton, Kill Devil Hills, maybe some minor slush here through parts of Norfolk and Chesapeake, an inch along the eastern shore, some higher amounts again once you move back towards Richmond. So all the models are sort of in agreement. There's some minor differences, but the same general idea is there with those models. And this is the high resolution rapid refresh model. This is updated every few hours. Same sort of idea. Not much in Norfolk, Virginia Beach down towards the Albemarle Sound. Some higher amounts as you work your way up towards the peninsula. And this is sort of shifted. That heavier snow band earlier it looked like it might be back here across central Virginia. It's sort of shifted it a little bit farther to the north, maybe a little bit north of Richmond. And there is going to be that band somewhere in there where I think there might be 3 or 4 inches of snow. That's not for Hampton Roads. That's going to be back through central Virginia. We're again mainly dealing with rain, south side into northeastern North Carolina, some accumulation that'll get washed away. So that's what it looks like as far as the HRRR or the HRRR model. Here's a little bit of a closer view. Again, I still think there might be some mixing in some of these areas that the model is saying no accumulation. And again, there might not be any accumulation, but I think there will be some mixing or some snowflakes, maybe a little bit of slush, even as far east as the airport, but right along the coastline. Not getting much, especially with that wind coming in off the water. A little bit of some minor accumulations inland. You can see here towards Suffolk, downtown, 0.2, 0.3 inches of snow, a little bit higher amounts through Isle of Wight County, back through Southampton County. Gets a little bit heavier up towards Isle of Wight. Getting 1.5 inches, close to 2 inches. Higher amounts through northern James City County, 2 inches up around Centerville. And then as you work your way down the peninsula, closer to the bay, closer to that onshore wind, warmer temperatures, maybe a 1/2 inch towards Phoebus, around Fort Monroe, a little bit towards downtown, and you work your way up Newport News, higher amounts as you get closer to the park, and then as you work your way up into James City County, York County, up around Williamsburg, maybe 1 to 2 inches. But again, once that rain-snow line starts to work its way inland, a lot of this will melt as we see that transition to rain. How far that rain-snow line makes it and how long it takes, that'll be the question, and some of this will be on the ground during that morning rush, especially across the peninsula in 64, and that's why we have that weather impact alert for tomorrow morning. A little bit farther to the north, through the middle peninsula, the northern neck, and maybe a couple inches of snow, and we might not see as much rain mixing in, especially as you work your way here through Middlesex County and up, northern Gloucester County up around Pampa and over towards Jamaica, or through the northern neck here. Could see some, that may be sticking on the ground a little bit longer. I think we will see a little bit along the eastern shore as well. So 13 up along the eastern shore could have some issues as well. And finally, across northeastern North Carolina, a lot of zeros on the map. Again, mainly just some rain, could be some mixing, or a little bit of some sleet or snow trying to mix in, Harrowsville, Ahoskie, Sunbury, South Mills, Moyock, Morgan's Corner, places like that. Maybe even Elizabeth City, but primarily talking about rain. So that's what all the models are showing. So we take all of that information, take our experience from past events and how things are sort of lining up. And so same general idea, mainly looking at rain around the Albemarle Sound, coastal south side, maybe a little bit of slush before we see that change over to rain through the south side. And it's sort of this band from the eastern shore, northern neck, middle peninsula, interior south side, where we could pick up 1 inch, maybe a little bit more, before we start to see that rain-snow line working its way inland and melting a lot of that snow and washing it away. A little bit of a closer view again, mostly rain. Yates County, Hertford County, Murfreesboro, Northampton County might see some accumulations. Chesapeake, Suffolk, back into Isle of Wight County, Southampton County, maybe some accumulation, inch, possibly a little bit more. But we will see that rain-snow line move in, and we'll see the falling snow change over to rain, and a lot of this will melt. Some higher amounts back towards Waverly, Wakefield, up along 460. So that's why we were pointing 460 out. As you work your way up towards Petersburg, which will likely have, a couple inches, maybe 3 inches of snow in spots, and then up across areas of the Middle Peninsula, northern neck, eastern shore, inch or two. And we will likely see a little bit of some rain trying to mix in as well. So not a significant storm here for Hampton Roads by any stretch of the imagination, a glancing blow. Of course, we had back on November 11th, had 2/10 of an inch of rain, or 2/10 of an inch of snow at Norfolk International Airport, tying the earliest measurable snowfall in Hampton Roads. So a little bit of a glancing blow then, a little bit of a glancing blow now. Again, if you're a snow lover, and you live in Virginia Beach, those chances for the snow certainly very low, and mainly looking at some rain. So overnight, rain and snow after midnight, mostly cloudy, mid-30s. And then as we go into the day tomorrow, we have that weather impact alert, a coastal mix, maybe, and some spots closer to the coastline. It'll be all rain, eventually changing over to rain if there's a little bit of sleet or snow mixing in, and I think there will be at the airport. I think the atmosphere will be cold enough to maybe support an hour or two of a little bit of a mix or some snow, but quickly changing over to rain as the atmosphere warms up and into the mid-40s by the afternoon. That snow changing over to rain or some mix, eventually changing over to rain in most spots, 46 degrees into the afternoon, then rain tapering off Friday night, and 47, and cold for early December, cloudy into the day on Saturday. So a weather impact alert tomorrow, 46, 47 and cloudy Saturday, 51 on Sunday, another push of colder air. Early next week, back into the 40s, and we start to warm up into the mid-50s by Thursday. So again, recapping, we have the weather impact alert tomorrow morning, goes into the afternoon, but I really think that 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. time frame is when we're going to see most of the snow in western parts of Hampton Roads, Coastal areas mainly looking at rain. Might briefly start out as a little bit of mix and then monitor those travel issues. Snow for some, rain for others, rain along the coastline and across northeastern North Carolina. Very typical setup in Hampton Roads where the peninsula will get some snow. Coastal areas get the rain, especially south side into northeastern North Carolina. And likely we will, for most of us, see the temperatures warm up, and that'll change the precipitation from snow to rain, and any accumulation on the ground will likely get washed away for most of us unless you live a little bit closer towards Richmond or Petersburg or Interstate 95. So if you're out and about tomorrow morning, give yourself a little extra travel time. Again, meteorologist Evan Stewart here. I'll have another update on the 11 o'clock news on 13 News Now, channel 13. And of course, daybreak starts early tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. So we'll have crews out. Meteorologist Taylor Stephenson and Craig Muller will be in tomorrow morning tracking your conditions and let you know what to expect on this Weather Impact Friday.